And we started recording.
Okay. Yeah, as Karna said, we stopped mid-dungeon last time because you had finally dared to venture deep into the dungeon level below the Harrowstone prison. And of course, you found restless undead that you had to fight. Some ectoplasmic humans that rose from the water that has seeped into this floor. And some skeletons. All of them probably prisoners, some of them maybe even guards that died in the fire and the deadfall that was triggered to seal this level. You've also encountered a strange headless burning skeleton that was wildly swinging an axe, a battle axe, or a hand axe actually. And at first you thought that you had faced the Lopper himself, but as it turns out, doesn't seem like it was him. So you still find yourself in a sort of crossroad chamber or central chamber of the dungeon level, where 4 dark hallways exit from the large empty space. Each one striking out in one of the 4 directions of the compass, and each decorated with a soot-caked brass nameplate affixed to the ceiling just above the entrance. And last time we finished the session, or we ended the session, when I told you the names of these sections. So let me repeat those for you real quick. The one to the north, which is up on this map, thankfully, is called the Oubliette. To the west lies Reaper's Hold. To the south you find the Nevermore. And to the east, through the just above the door or the passage that you use to enter this room, there's a plaque that says Hell's Basement.
Is Emaírel actually dying?
I can't really remember, but I guess if it's set to that, then he is probably very bloodied.
Well, it looks like he's at 1 hit point, yeah.
That sucks. Let's heal him.
Actually, Emaírel is going to give a shot to the Wand of Cure. That does not work.
Oh man, he must get frustrated by now.
Well, maybe wait, at this point, the Arronax will come up to Emaírel, take the wand from his clearly shaking hands and say like, "Here, take this, drink it, you will get better." And he will give him his last extract of Cure Light Wounds.
Meanwhile, Crow is he's kind of like, he's got maybe a blood smear on his cheek from where he got slashed. He just kind of wipes it off and kind of smears it on the rubble on the ground, and he goes back to tending to his blunderbuss. He's reloading it with pellets, and he's looking around. He goes, "Well, which one of these charming locales do you think we should visit first?" The Nevermore has a certain allure to me.
At this point, Arronax will return the wand to Emaírel and say, well, this burning thing ran out of Ubilet, so we might as well see if there is any more of these things up there. So we will be blindsided should we come somewhere else.
A fair point, Doctor, and since my bullets seem to have some effect against these things, I wouldn't mind facing them down first.
That makes sense.
It is, because, well, logical argument always makes sense. And I always make logical arguments.
Should I take the lead then?
Of course.
Geier, how are you doing? I do not recall how you fared 2 seconds ago.
Geier grunts and shrugs and says, I'm fine. Let's just get this over with and put those dead back in the ground where they belong. And he is by Crow's side as you move down the hallway, all the way up to here, where you can see the holes in the floor for a portcullis that is currently raised into the ceiling. The door to your left is actually open. This is where the skeleton must have charged out. And you can peek inside this room and see a table surrounded by a few rickety chairs along with a pair of moldy but serviceable cots.
Well, this little side door here, or the rather inviting looking portcullis?
Geier seems not sure.
I don't trust this portcullis. We probably should check the door first before we give it a chance to close on us.
Okay. As you move into the room, you get a better look at it, and you see that there's actually also a winch affixed to the north wall that can obviously be used to raise or lower the portcullis outside. And it can also be locked from the closed position, but it's currently raised anyway.
Does it look like it's in good working order?
Well, it looks slightly rusted, and it would probably be kind of hard to operate just because it hasn't for a long time, but a little bit of oil and it should do the job.
Okay, who's going to go running through the portcullis first?
Well, I would have volunteered, but I can't see anything in this darkness.
Sorry, hold on, I'll be right there.
All right, I'll take the lead, says Geier, and steps into the room beyond the line of the portcullis.
Very well.
And as you follow,
Yes.
you get a better glimpse of this oubliette, as it was called. You see several iron doors lining the wall. Otherwise, the room is large but empty. And in the middle of the room, a hinged 10-foot square metal grating lies over a dark pit in the floor. A thick rope has been tied to the grating, and dangles into the pit below. And Geier moves into the chamber and curiously starts to lean over the grating, his shovel in hand, ready for anything. When you hear a shrieking cackle. And from this dark pit, a creature emerges, rises, and moves right through the metal grates as if they were nothing but thin air. And as the creature comes into view, you see that it is vaguely human, but with a ghoulish grin on its face, strange, elongated arms, and a giant axe.
Oh, begone, false spirit, I disbelieve in you.
And as it rises from the pit, as I said, it shrieks and cackles, and it shouts, "I've been waiting so long for you! I will cut your heads off!" And we can go into initiative.
Oh boy.
Okay. Emaírel.
Would like.
Yeah, while it screams its threats, you take the opportunity to act before it can. Sam?
You're muted. Are you? We can't hear you at all if you're speaking.
Sam?
Were you consumed by King in Yellow? As well? Our paladin in Strange Aeons was consumed by King in Yellow. That's why he couldn't make it today.
But that wasn't the real yellow King in Yellow.
Well, we wouldn't know until we find him.
It's not even responding in chat.
Yeah.
On the voice chat.
Yeah. And still on Roll20, so he hasn't dropped out yet.
Yep, there you go.
Ah,
Sorry.
there you go.
Yeah, so Emaírel would like to identify.
Okay, give me knowledge religion. 16. Well, this is barely enough. Well, it's clearly some sort of incorporeal creature. You don't think it's a haunt. You're certain the way that the encounter started, the way that it seems to be very much aware of your presence and not just being, some sort of background scene playing out. You're very sure that it's a creature. Maybe some sort of right. Certainly not the usual kind, because usually a wraith would only try to touch you and certainly not need a giant axe like this one. Yeah, so like I said, you're quite sure that it's some sort of incorporeal undead, but other than that, you're at a loss.
In that case, we'll take a standard action and spend 1 point to make Jorfa's longsword Bane of Undead.
Okay. How do you do that?
That's from the. It's called Legacy Weapon. It's a power of the Transmutation School.
Okay. So you imbue your weapon with the legacy of ancient heroes, and so it becomes the bane of all undead. Doctor.
So, I get only standard action or both?
Regular round, no surprise round.
Well, so but it is incorporeal, so okay. At first, let's try hitting him with a normal bomb. So, Dr. Arronax, his mutagen is still in effect, so he is a bit rash, and he will say, "Well, you waited for just for that. Well, you waited for this," and he will try to toss a bomb at him.
Okay. Kaboom! The bomb goes off and fails to touch him, but splash damage. It's minimum, right?
Yes, it is from 2d6, so it would be 6.
So he gets a reflex save to half that, which I would assume he makes.
Yeah, he makes it.
So, and because he's in, he only takes half energy damage, correct?
I suppose so, yeah.
Okay. So that brings it all down to only 1 point. But this single point of fire damage, it is fire damage, right?
Oh, yes.
This single point of fire damage cuts his gleeful cackle short. Instead, his terrifying visage turns into a
What?
visage, as if there's some sort of trauma that that the fire brings back into his memory, and he just goes, no, not the fire, no. And he does seem to have a hard time focusing on the here and now, and he only staggers forward very slowly and just no, swings his axe at Geier. And a 10 touch attack versus Geier's flat-footed AC. Touch AC flat-footed, yeah, so that's exactly enough. And he grazes Geier, it seems. Like he swings his axe and he barely even nicks Geier's skin. But nevertheless, Geier's reaction to that is dramatic. Because he clutches his throat and with his face becoming a mask of sinks to his knees and collapses as if he's just been decapitated.
Well.
Crow, your turn.
Right. So seeing this, Crow steps forward and he points the blunderbuss into this thing's face at point blank range, and he says, "Get your hands off of him, you bastard!" and fires.
Yeah.
And he's going to use focused aim as well and take a deadly shot.
And he doesn't provoke for ranged attacking in reach, right?
Actually, he does.
Okay.
So
Well, let me check real quick. If the staggered condition negates attacks of opportunities.
I think it does.
No, you can still take free, swift, and immediate actions. So I would say that includes attacks of opportunities. So slow, but opportune. He tries
in
to.
that case, I'm going to use dodging panache as well.
Okay.
Got a little ahead of myself there, but yeah.
Okay. So he tries to bring his axe down on you with a 12 to touch. And it's incorporeal
Ooh.
touch, so yeah.
Yeah,
Goes
that's
through
gonna
almost
miss.
anything. So that's gonna miss?
Yeah, if I use dodging panache, I add my charisma to my AC.
Nice. Okay. Good. So you dodge his blow and
I dodge his blow, jumping in front of Emaírel, and I fire.
blam against his touch AC.
Yeah.
And marvelously you hit. And even to his own surprise, your pellets hurt him greatly. And he takes full damage. Emaírel.
Emaírel is going to drop the torch that he's holding, take a step forward, grab his longsword in two hands, and try to attack this thing. What was that?
You put in a plus.
I put a plus.
So that's 22 is the attack roll. That's a hit. And then that's 7, 8 plus 5. That's 13 points of damage.
And
but it is corporeal damage from a magic weapon, so it's only going to be half of that.
But wouldn't Bane damage...
Oh, the Bane damage? Yeah, you're right. Only the weapon damage should be reduced. So it's 7, 8 is the regular, so that's 4. And then the Bane damage on... Oh, I see. You rolled that Bane damage extra. So that's 7, 8, 13. Half of that is 6. And then the full Bane damage, which is 5 points of damage. Okay. Yeah. So the Lopper is very aware of the threat you all pose, but he still gives you that wicked grin. You can see the madness twinkling in his dead, incorporeal eyes. Doctor.
Well, the Doctor is a very intelligent person, so he will try to exploit his exposed weakness. And he will try to throw a bomb. This time he will just target a grid intersection to flat hit him with splash damage.
Okay, unfortunately, incorporeals cannot be critted.
Well, but
unless you have some ghost touch.
Can grid intersections be critted?
Well, it's definitely gonna hurt the metal grate, but
yeah. Well, anyway, that would be again 6 points of damage from splash.
And he halves it. So that is 3. That ends up being just 1 point of damage. But once again,
it staggers.
It is enough to stagger him. But he's very close to everyone, so he doesn't need to move. And instead, he just swings his axe at Emaírel. 26 to touch is a hit, I would assume.
Yeah.
6 points of negative energy damage, and you start bleeding. You take 2 points of bleed damage, and let me put a marker on you so that we don't forget. And as the blood leaves your body, it kind of turns into a smoke and drifts over to the lopper and merges with his, obviously healing him for some amount.
That's bad.
Geier is down. Crow.
Let's see. Crow is going to, I believe it's a full round action to, well, it's a cartridge, so I don't think that reduces. Well, no, our alchemical cartridges, I think, reduce the time it takes to reload. But this isn't going to be a standard cartridge. So I think he actually I'm not sure about this, Simon. So normally when you use the bullet or the pellet cartridges, it reduces the time it takes to reload by 1 step.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking about using a special cartridge that's, I guess it's still mundane, but it's alchemical. I don't know if it also is reduced by 1 step or not.
Alchemical cartridges make loading a firearm easier, reducing the time to load a firearm by 1 step. And what's the other thing that reduces the time?
This is a Dragon's Breath cartridge.
Wait, so
So
it
it
is
doesn't-
an alchemical Dragon's Breath cartridge, or what's the...
I think alchemical cartridges are a specific
Yeah,
thing that refers to bullets and pellets.
right.
It
Yeah.
does say sometimes with more exotic material added.
Yes.
So I don't know if this is supposed to qualify as an alchemical cartridge or something.
I think it. Well, I don't know. I think it would count as a cartridge. But well, that's.
I think they're their own thing. I mean, I don't think that you can stack the effect of an alchemical cartridge on top of a Dragon's Breath cartridge. I think they're a
Okay,
separate thing.
so it's gonna take me a full round to reload this thing. Okay.
I believe so.
In that case, Crow is going to 5-foot step, and he's going to start reloading as quickly as he can. He reaches into his bag and pulls out this cartridge, which is done up with red paper, which is unlike all the other cartridges he's used, and he's mumbling to himself, "So you don't like fire, eh?" And that's his turn.
Okay. Let me just figure something out here. I will need a second, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
No, Dragon's Breath is a kind of alchemical cartridge. So, yeah, you were right. You can reduce the time on top of what the effects of a Dragon's Breath are.
Okay. In that case, he's going to. It's still a standard action for him to load, so he's just going to take his full move action to get. Yeah.
All right. Emaírel.
Emaírel is going to attack the creature again. Missing, and
Correct.
then he is going to take a step back Bomb him! Bomb him!
You
A
can
bomb-
hear
Yeah, bomb him.
panic in Emaírel's voice.
Yeah, the Geier is lying right next to him.
Oh.
Yeah, but Dr. Arronax still will try to stagger this. Well, at first he will take a step back, and he will bomb the same intersection as he did before. To fully take advantage of his staggered
And he
condition.
fails the save this time, so he's gonna take 3 points of fire damage and is once again staggered by the strange fear rising up in him.
Is his staggered condition lasts only one round, or we can tell?
You don't know.
Mhm.
He takes a step forward though as a free action. He takes his 5-foot step and then tries to attack Emaírel after. Oh wait, first Emaírel takes 2 more points of bleed damage, and the blood once again turns into this misty smoke and floats over to the lopper where it heals him, and then he swings his axe that comes dangerously close to Emaírel's throat, and where it touches him, fine cuts open up, and he takes 4 points of negative energy damage and continues to bleed.
It
It doesn't stack. No, it doesn't stack. It's only the highest. If you had rolled higher now, you would take the higher bleed damage. Crow, your turn.
Okay, Crow is going to. Right. So Crow is going to step up a little bit and over. And he's going to call out, "Hey, you bat-faced bastard, over here!" And he levels his blunderbuss at him and pulls the trigger, and this tremendous burst of flame erupts from it and catches just the lopper in it, I believe.
I certainly hope so.
And hold on, I have to figure out how to roll for this because I've never actually rolled for this. It's 2D.
Oops.
I don't actually have a macro for this one, but
Okay. For the attack roll,
actually,
you can
it's a reflex save from him, I think. Actually, DC 15.
Okay.
Can I apply my things like focused shot and stuff to it to increase the damage, or?
I don't see why not.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Unless it says you can't. Unless it says you can't apply it to a scatter firearm.
I mean, you can definitely apply it to a scatter firearm.
Yeah, then I think you should be able to.
Okay. So I'm taking focus shot and deadly aim here. Well, actually, I guess deadly aim doesn't make any sense because that's a negative to the attack modifier, which I'm not really making one.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, sorry. I'm just double checking this, the reading on this. To all targets within the cone, DC. Yeah, okay, so because this ammunition forces a saving throw instead of making an attack roll, okay, so it's not making an attack roll. The misfire rules are different. But yeah, I guess I can't really do either of those things because they only apply to attack rolls.
Oh, okay.
So this is just going to be straight, probably just straight 2d6.
Okay. He failed his reflex save, so I think you just roll a 2d6. Yeah.
okay.
Nice, 10 points of damage. And it's mundane fire, so he only takes half of the damage.
Would Ghost Slayer apply to this?
Go especially you especially. Yeah, I think it should. Yeah. So, as if it were magic. Which in this case doesn't really make a difference because the energy damage is halved either way, whether or not it's damage or whether or not it's magic, fire, or mundane fire.
Okay.
All right, Emaírel.
Stop
He's
trying to
going
cut
to-
him and cut him.
Well, Emaírel is going to try to not try to cut him, but cut him.
And it's a miss.
What? Damn.
Move action.
He's going. He's going to just step away.
Okay, Doctor.
I think okay. I will take a risk at this point. As for a move action, he will pull out a flask of holy water. He will take a 5-foot step forward, and he will, with a quip, saying, "Don't you feel too hot here? Like, chill down." And he will douse the lopper with holy water. As per rules for holy water, dousing an incorporeal creature is a ranged touch attack that does not provoke attack of opportunity, but I can only do it when I am adjacent to the creature, so I have to be real close to it.
Okay.
Okay. Ranged.
And that's a miss.
Well, I'm fucked then.
So you just pour it on the ground?
I don't know. I don't know. It says douse, so I suppose I will get at least a splash damage. Maybe, I suppose. Since it's still kind of ranged attack, even though it is adjacent.
Yeah, no, but I mean the splash damage you get because the flask shatters and then it flies off in all directions.
Well,
So-
I mean, I'm waving it around right now as well, so. To
Yeah,
douse
but
something.
I don't think you should get splash damage
All right.
because you're really just pouring it out. So I don't think the splash damage applies here. Okay, the lopper still registers your attempt, and he turns around and he's shaking from all the fire that has just washed, well, basically through him, but still it frightens him greatly. And he goes, "You think you have all the power? You think you can do anything to us? You're just like those guards, and look what we did to them." And he brings his axe around and tries to attack Arronax, incorporeal touch 11.
And miraculously, my touch AC is 12.
It's the dex bonus.
Mm-hmm.
So you just very narrowly dodge his axe. Geier is still down. Crow.
Yeah. Crow is going to reload with a He's going to spend a full round action reloading with a bullet. So he pulls out his shot and powder, and he just starts going as fast as he can, keeping an eye on this thing as it's swinging at everyone. That's his turn.
Okay.
It's a full round action.
Okay. Then Sam, it's Emaírel's turn, and you need to take another 2 bleed damage from that happened on the Loppers initiative.
So Emaírel is going to fish in his backpack for that wand and try to activate it. So that would be move action plus standard action.
Mm-hmm. Sounds about right. That is enough. You activated successfully.
Oof.
And he's going to hit himself with that.
Okay. Magical healing gets rid of all the bleed damage automatically, or of the continuous bleed damage, and heals 6 points. Doctor.
All right. At this point, and with Geier still down, I think it's time to call out for assistance. So he will take a 5-foot step backwards, and instead of fishing out another vial of holy water, he will pull out a last vial of his extracts, and he will toss it right in front of the Lopper.
And what do you summon?
As the vial shatters, it releases a cloud of smoke that's slowly, well, not slowly, it's very quickly coalesces into a rather shaggy looking brownish colored dog. Right about here. And it will have the benefits of augmented summoning, so it is very formidable mutt that will, I hope it will immediately attack the Lopper, or
So because they're extracts, they you get to cast them as a standard action, or how do you reduce the casting time?
I believe so. I think well, consuming any extract is a standard action. Alchemy. Extracts are the most varied. In many ways, they behave like spells in potion form. Unlike potions, although once created remains one potent. Mixing extract takes 1 minute of work. An extract is cast by drinking it as if imbibing a potion.
Where did you get Summon Nature's Ally as an extract option?
That because I am preservation. That's my archetype.
Yeah, what is it called?
A
Preservationist.
Yes, preservationist.
Mm-hmm.
It actually just lists that I added it to my spell list.
I see. When the alchemist opens the bottle, the specimen animates and grows to normal size, serving the preservationist as per the spell and otherwise being treated as a summoned creature. When the duration expires, the preserved creature decays into powder if the present food. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't see how that reduces the casting time.
Well, in any case, that would be my round anyway, because
Okay, but
yeah.
then he doesn't actually appear until the end because it's a casting time of 1 round, not one
Alright.
full round action. So
Alright.
you basically fiddling with the bottle and probably putting in some catalyst or something to make it grow. And the Lopper lets off the doctor, who's not a threat, obviously, and instead staggers 5 feet over here, and he huffs and grunts as if he was able to be exerted by all of this, even though he's clearly undead and doesn't have a body anymore. And he says, "I will kill all of you, and soon we shall be free, and then everyone pay!" Ah! And again, he swings the axe at Emaírel this time. Incorporeal touch 10.
Misses.
And he misses Emaírel, who dodges the blow, and then it's Crow's turn.
Crow finishes up with the loading, shoulders his weapon, points it, and shouts out, "Hey, Batface, I wasn't done with you!" And fires again, this time with a bullet, so just straight at him. Activating all of his stuff. Oh, man.
Oh, man. And that misses, unfortunately. But you cause a reaction, and when you insult him, he looks at you with his gleaming eyes, and he says, "Calling names, hurting us. You never change. You all must die." Emaírel.
He's going to go back to two-handing that longsword.
And he strikes and he hits for 5 points of damage, as the magic sword has some effect. And then the Undead Bane adds another 6 to that. So yeah, the Lopper is clearly hurt. Incorporeal cuts open up on his chest and his shoulder as his visible form tries to emulate the effects of his essence being drained.
And he's going to take a 5-foot step.
Okay.
And again, ask the doctor to bomb.
Okay. Doctor,
Well,
you finished casting a spell. Where do you want it to appear?
Yes, at this point it will. Well, suppose it will appear somewhere right in front of him.
Okay.
And like, go get him, boy! So yeah, it's not a time for introductions, but this is the person who helped me to perfect one of my extracts last evening. Yes, at this point it will be. I suppose it will be an attack from the dog, right?
Sure.
Summoned creature dog from it would be a bite +4.
That's a miss.
Well, and that's sad, but for Arronax's own turn, he will take out another flask of holy water, take a step forward, and try to just crash it into the ground beneath the Lopper to properly douse him with splash damage.
Oh, was that holy water?
Yes, that would be holy water.
He gets a reflex save to avoid the little speckles, but he fails.
Why are you not attacking him directly?
Incorporeal
Oh, right.
can't break
Right. Yeah.
holy water. I'm sorry. So that would be again. It would be no splash damage is 1 for holy water plus 4 from my intelligence. It would be 5.
Okay. So you burn him with the holy water, cleverly throwing it at the right spot to catch him in as much as possible. And he screams "Ah!" as he jumps Crow, using his eggs overhead and kind of chopping down at Crow. With an 18, he hits him for
I'm
1 point.
dodging panashing.
And he dodged panashing.
I didn't.
He almost hits him.
I didn't hit my push to talk. I'm not actually. Hold on. I have to check to see if that hits me or not. I was shouting it out and wondering why no one was reacting.
And it's touch. So
Right. 18 against touch. Ooh, it's gonna be tough. Damn it, no. Even with dodging panache, that gets it up to 17.
well, but at least the damage is very low. It's 1 point of negative energy and 1 point of bleed that turns into healing for the Lopper.
Do I take the
Then-
bleed right now?
Yes. And it's your turn.
Crow reloads, this time with a bullet cartridge, so he can do it as a standard action. And he's going to spend his move action just backing away from this thing.
Okay. Emaírel.
He is going to step up reluctantly to the Lopper and try to stab it again.
You have my blessing.
Yes.
Oh, and another elegant stab with a longsword causes some damage from the weapon, and then good amount of damage, and you can see that the Lopper is about to be destroyed. He's barely holding on to his undead existence, and he's mad as hell, Doctor.
Well, before his puppy has any chance to try and bite him to death, Doctor will toss one of his dwindling bomb supply right at the Lopper in hopes of further staggering him. Or more specifically, at the intersection beneath him. So I would... I actually missed the intersection.
Half the damage. He takes only 1 point of damage from the fire, but he's staggered. And then it's his turn. And with his last, with the last bit of evil forces that keep him on this plane, he brings his axe down once more. Ooh, hoo, hoo.
Indeed.
Can we have a puppy to attack him for once?
Yeah, but the puppy can't hit him anyway because it's incorporeal.
Poor puppy.
The 16 to hit Emaírel touch.
Yep.
Then it's 9 points of negative energy damage as he crits you with his axe. A vicious looking gash opens at the neckline, even though that's not even where he hit you. And you take 1 point of bleed damage, which heals him for 1 point.
And with that, Emaәрel drops to the ground.
You will just be the first to fall, the Lopper screams. Crow.
Alright, now that he's got his gun reloaded, Crow steps forward. Leave this world. And he fires. Bang! Goes the bullet, activating everything.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure you want us
Actually,
to...
no, not activating deadly aim.
Okay.
Not activating deadly aim.
And the shot echoes through this room, and the bullet hits its mark. Right through the back of his skull. And as it does so, it just makes the entire creature evaporate.
The Crow don't stand on the grate. I severely weakened its construction with my fire.
Crow's moment of glory is cut short as he looks down at his feet and goes, ah! And he jumps back.
Yes. Seven. No time to
So
relax.
Crow and Emaәрel are both still bleeding, just so you know. So
Yes. At this point, Doctor will try to grab the wand of Cure Light Wounds from Emaәрel and, well, fiddle around with it and poke him with it.
okay. You have it on your list, though, right? You don't need to roll.
Yeah, I have Cure Light Wounds on my list.
Yeah.
So that would be 1d8.
As I'm bleeding, is it still like turning into smoke, or is it just bleeding normal?
It's just bleeding normally.
That's 1 for Emaәрel, and the same goes for Crow as soon as he comes closer.
Yeah, which Crow does. Ah, nice puppy.
And I suppose well, Crow will survive. The next goes to Emaәрel. Yeah. Anyway, our puppy is very friendly, and he seems to be very proud of how he helped to bring down a huge serial killer with an axe. Yeah, but as soon as Crow tries to pet him, it crumbles to dust. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Crow's a little disturbed by that happening.
Well, it's
Doctor, did you have him in your pocket the whole time?
Oh yes, he was invaluable research subject. But it's very unfortunate and an unintended side effect of the process. But well, we'll see if I'll be able to reverse it at one point or another.
Emaәрel, are you okay? You're back on your feet.
Well, I'm able to move.
I will return the wand to Emaәрel at this point.
Geier is still... Is he okay?
I don't know.
No, he went down as soon as the thing touched him.
Maybe it's another one of those brain things, like the haunt upstairs. Maybe he is reliving some horrible nightmare over and over again while we're standing over him.
Give me a heal check.
1 second.
Okay. Yeah, you check on him, and you're relieved to learn that he's not dead. He's also not bleeding, at least not bleeding out. It doesn't seem to be bleeding internally, but he is comatose. And there's cold sweat on his forehead. And you can see that his eyes are twitching under his closed lids, as if he is experiencing some sort of terrifying dream.
Would Emaәрel be able to figure out any sort of information about this?
You can give me a knowledge religion. 22. Well, that's pretty high. So, well, you're not sure what is going on here because the attack by the Lopper, you were attacked by the Lopper too, and so was Crow, and you didn't have these strong reactions to it. So, but what you do know, because of your knowledge of how the spirit world works and how undead and necromantic energies works, you know that it's like a doses model. So if you're exposed to it for a long time, it can leave you vulnerable to even smaller amounts in the future. And Geier, having spent his entire life around graveyards, may have had already a lower resistance to all of this, which is probably also why he then got trapped in this vision that he told you about by the Father Charlatan. And that, combined with now another powerful undead attacking him, may have just pushed his body and his mind over the edge. And at this point, you think that this may be permanent.
That is very unfortunate.
Emaәрel is rummaging through his pack, where he sees that he does have a scroll of protection of evil, so he's trying to figure out if that might be helpful or not.
Well, this is already very strange, so there's only one way to really find out.
And so he will unfurl the scroll.
Are you casting it?
Yes, I'm just looking up what's the exact procedure.
Well, he would get another saving throw.
As you start casting it, you start speaking the words of power that would make the spell manifest within the next few seconds. You see that Geier starts to convulse as if in great pain, and he starts to grunt in his comatose sleep, as if you're putting him through torture, just mumbling these words. Do you finish the spell, or?
It's an evil spirit talking. Finish the spell!
Well, Emaәрel tries to finish, but he does not manage to do it properly.
Uh-oh. For the scroll,
I see.
Would that mean some kind of that scroll is expanded, or?
Use a scroll is 20 plus a caster level. Do you have the ability to do it? Yeah, I guess so.
Through UMV.
Oh, so you need to do both. So that's two things. If you need to emulate the ability score and use a scroll, then that's 2 things.
Oh,
Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to figure out when it counts, or when you're risking a mishap.
It would be cool.
Oh, apparently that's only when you activate blindly. But I think that it's also true for scrolls under certain, yeah. Just to make a cast level check. I don't. Yeah, it doesn't trigger a mishap, but it doesn't manifest as well, and I believe the spell is wasted. The scroll is wasted.
Well, in this case, we can just leave him here. So, even though we've just descended into this place, I think it's time to grab Geier and drag him back to town.
it seems so.
So what do you do?
Well, if everyone alright with it, we grab Geier and drag him back to town, I suppose.
Oh, whoops! Again, push to talk was off. Crow was just pointing out. I don't disagree with you necessarily, but we are 20 feet down a hole. How do you propose to get them out?
Well, we still have a whole day ahead of us, right?
Do you think,
Well,
Emaírel, that this could be somehow tied to the spirits that inhabit this place? And maybe if we defeated them all, it would lift whatever this is, this curse, or I don't know what. We can do something, right?
Well, it's not that I disagree with such notion, but we are only 3 now, and our resources are depleting at alarming late. I'm sorry, this mutagen makes my tongue a bit twisty. Alarming rate, I want to say. So, at this point, it will take us at first leaving Geier right here alone, even without a dog to protect him, and going into the depths of this cellar or dungeon to God knows what things. We very well might not return to collect him back.
well, I think we can manage to hoist him up. We still have the rope there.
Well, I'm not too proud to admit that Geier was the strongest among us. I suppose that if we all work together, we can get them up. But damn it, this is all taking too long.
Well, let's get going then.
Get going with trying to get him up to the ground floor, or get going exploring this dungeon level more?
Sounds like we're taking him out. Crow,
Okay.
Crow, as I assume you're starting to drag Geier's body away, Crow just stands there in the oubliette for a second and frustratedly kicks a pebble into the iron grating.
And
before
you can hear
departing.
it. You can hear it bounce back and forth in the pit and in the shaft until it hits the ground. Some 30 feet down.
Mm-hmm. Well, Arronax will probably help. He will grab the Geier's another hand and will drag him along with Crow.
Okay.
I mean, Geier is a rough guy. He can take being dragged by his arms.
Okay. So you at least try to make sure that his face is
Of course.
not facing the floor as you drag him behind you
I mean,
and make your way back to the what used to be the elevator room, which is now just a ruined cavern with a little pool at the bottom. Your rope is still dangling through the shaft that it goes up, I believe.
Yeah.
I think that's where you left it, right? Yep. So, taking your time, you manage to first get one of you up there and then start, I guess, probably start tying Geier to the rope, and then another person climbs up, and you all try to together to pull him out of the dungeon level.
yes.
We
And
all
to
just
the
fell down
floor.
this thing. That's all I can think of. All three of us fell trying
Yeah.
to get down here. Now we got to haul a body up it.
Yeah. But at least this time you don't have to fight ectoplasmic creatures at the same time, which made the thing much harder last time. And if you can take 10, you can hit 5, right?
Yeah.
On
Do
climb.
we have to have points in climbing?
No, you don't have to, but the modifier needs to be at least -5.
I think I can make
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so since you can't take 10, then all of you, if not graciously, but at least reliably make it up, and pulling together, you can get Geier up there too, with just a couple of scrapes and scratches that don't even really, if you wouldn't know that that wasn't his face, then you wouldn't even notice.
Looks about the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you go about the quite laborious pursuit of getting him all the way back to Ravengro. You basically have to shoulder him, to two of you, half carrying him, half dragging him back to town. Which, if you remember, is a little bit of way between Harrowstone and Ravengro.
Oh, yeah.
So this takes quite some time. And by the time you reach Ravengro, it is already getting dark outside. But you make it to Lorimer Place, and you put him into his chamber, onto his bed, where he now
we will not.
gets some rest.
Yeah, we will not undress him. He can do it himself if he wakes up.
Wouldn't Emaárel is going to raise up the point of, should we call the father to check on him?
I suppose so. It would be prudent to try.
I think we need to call on him ourselves as well.
Well,
Might as well ask him to come, see if he can provide any spiritual guidance.
mm-hmm.
Okay, so you sent for Father Grimborough?
Well, yes, I suppose we sent for him. We are too exhausted after carrying Geier all the way here. At least Dr. Arronax is too exhausted.
And
So we send Emaírel.
Yeah.
so Emaírel goes and fetches the father, who seems surprisingly concerned when you tell him about Geier's state. And once he arrives at the mansion, he quickly says, "Where is he?" And you show him to Geier's room.
We put him upstairs, Father.
And he takes off his coat and he puts down a leather suitcase, kind of like it almost looks like a doctor's bag that he brought with him. And he
So like
puts
a
it down.
single light shining from Geier's bedroom window as the doctor approaches in the night. He stands in the shaft of life for a moment before entering.
That's precisely what it looks like. And he inspects Geier. And then, without turning around, he says, "Leave this room. And don't come in, no matter what you hear."
Oh, I was hoping we might get healing too. Oh, never mind. We'll get an alkalite to do that.
Yeah.
And he says, "This soul is in much more need than your mere scraps and burns."
Crow will nod to him and say, "Well, call on us if we can be of any service," and then he'll close the door behind him.
All right. The night is going to be restless because you will hear Father Grimborough's prayers to Pharasma sort of ebb and flow. Sometimes it's just a chanting mumble. Sometimes he's almost yelling them. But they're pretty much continuous for almost the entire night. And while there are no flashy things happening, you don't hear any glass breaking, you don't hear Geier walk across the ceiling or anything like that. But of course, Geier is something of a friend to you at this point, and not knowing what is going on there and seeing Father Grimborough so concerned about the whole situation makes it very uneasy for all of you to get some rest. Nevertheless, mechanically, you are rested the next morning when you find Father Grimborough exhausted, with bags under his eyes, nursing a strong coffee at the kitchen table where you usually have your breakfast. And he kind of just stares off in the distance as you enter.
Will he leave, Father? Asks Arronax, searching the kitchen for something stronger than the coffee, feeling that Father Grimborough could use some of that.
It's a little early for that, I'm afraid. But thank you.
I'm sorry, Father. I am not entirely sure that I am clear on what happened to him. What is his ailment?
He is... I don't know how to put it. He's in between. He his soul and body are still very much on the material plane, and his spirit is still somewhere in that body, but there's something trying to rip it out of him and take it away. And it is strong. He takes a gulp of coffee, and you can see that his hands are actually shaking a little bit when he does. I haven't encountered anything like this in a long time. And the Lady of the Graves has kept this town safe from any harm coming from that damned prison. I'm afraid that even her protection seems to be running out. I don't think I can save your friend. But
Do you have
you
any...
can at least save yourselves still.
Do you have any idea of what the something is?
I don't know. The way you describe what happened to me, what happened to him, I would think that it's those damned prisoners that are still haunting the prison. But it is stronger than what I would have expected. Guess all of them working together makes them even more powerful than they would be on their own.
Do you think that what happened to him could happen to us?
And his face gets kind of gloomy, and he says, I think it's what's going to happen to all of us if nobody stops what's going on in that prison.
I am not ready to dig a grave for our Gravedigger just yet, Father Grimbarrow. So, if you can't help him, do you have any counsel for us on what we can do for our friend? Or I suppose we, at this point, we could go and pick these haunted souls one by one. But
I'm afraid all you can do for your friend is make him comfortable until he stops fighting it.
Or we go and purge that place before that happens?
He finishes his coffee and gets up, and as he walks to the door, he says, Nobody can ask that of you. You're not from here. You've done a lot of good in this town, but in the end, we're all only mortals. And survival is what's most important to every living thing.
Well, can't find fault in that, I suppose. Arronax pours a shot of whiskey in his morning coffee.
He opens his suitcase and he takes out 4 vials, puts them on the table, and he says, it's only a small gesture, I know, but we're running out of silver, and I need to protect my temple as well.
We understand that, Father.
This is all I can spare. If you decide to go back to that jail, bring them with you. If you want to keep them for yourselves and to protect yourself from whatever is coming, do that. I think the time to ask you for heroic deeds is over now.
That is holy water, right?
Yes.
So
And with that, he leaves.
Well, gentlemen, you heard him.
So,
Time for heroic deeds is over.
yeah, I suppose it's time to get the job done then, right?
Well, I, for one, have a debt to pay, and I am committed to paying it. Waited my whole life to pay it. So, I think he is wrong in that regard about survival being the most precious thing to every man.
I've spent most of my life rebuking this occult superstitions, and this prison offends me greatly by proving me wrong, so we should do something about that.
What of you, Elf? You still in?
Well, it's not becoming to leave work half done.
Kendra says, and kind of startles you because you didn't notice her standing in the doorway to the hall. She says, I can see why my father associated himself with the group of you. You're just like him, aren't you?
People driven by science? Naturally. At this point, Arronax will finish his enhanced morning coffee and proceeds to go prepare breakfast for the rest of us.
Kendra sighs and she says, if you want to get yourself killed for these rubes, go ahead. Die a heroic death if you must. I will hang back and take care of your friend who's already paying the price for your courage.
Oh, if you think this is courage, then I'm a better actor than I realized.
Yeah.
And she takes a step forward towards the three of you and she says, just leave, just run. I understand it. You don't have to do what my father asked you to do. You don't have to hang around and wait until the end. It's okay if you want to run now. You've seen what awaits this town.
Lady Kendra, says Dr. Arronax, while breaking some eggs on the pan. You see, many of us would prefer to not tangle with this cursed prison at all, but an obligation to our friend and mentor in many cases. Well, I don't think we would be able to basically sleep at night if we just leave right now. I know I wouldn't be. And
Lady Kendra, perhaps there's something that I need to make clear to you. I do not like being in debt. You see, I do not like owing people money or favors. And I have owed your father so much more for that, for so long, that I would give anything to be out from under his debt. I do not love your father. I rather despise the man, actually, but I owe everything that I have to him, so I have no other choice.
She throws up her hands and she says, do what you must. Go ahead, die a heroic death or come back a vegetable like poor Geier. All of this doesn't matter anymore because whatever is happening to this town is going to wash it all away. And she turns and goes upstairs.
Perhaps it wouldn't be so bad to be washed away.
Well,
Many things I wish I could cleanse myself of.
perhaps so would I, but not like this. Alright, at this point, after, I suppose, rather mundane breakfast, Arronax will go up to his room to prepare his extraction and mutagen. In this case, I will prepare 3 more Cure Light Wounds and 1 shield spell. Dun, dun.
Okay.
I imagine the Father Grimbarrow gave us some healing before leaving.
Sure. Yeah. You can assume that he healed all of you back to full health.
Thank him. Grimbarrow is a good man. And for the mutagen, well, yeah, I think I will prepare another Constitution mutagen because I would like not to impair neither my intelligence, neither my wisdom, as I learned the hard way the previous time.
Well, Arronax is getting ready and everyone's preparing. Crow's going to go out for a little walk. He's going to head to the forge very briefly.
It's still pretty early in the morning, but Joffre is busy as always.
Well, if he mentions that he's going there, Emaírel is going to tag along.
Is he?
Okay.
Or yeah. Is he gonna let him know, or does he let him tag along, or does he want to go by himself?
I mean,
If he doesn't mention anything, then it's fine.
I guess he'll say that he's headed to the forge, and then if Emaírel says he's coming along, he'll kind of shrug like, "Oh, wasn't expecting that, but okay." Not going to deny him.
Okay. Yeah, so when you get there, like I said, it's kind of early in the morning, but Joffre is already busily pounding the anvil.
Yeah, Crow will knock on the door and then enter and tip his hat to her as he does.
And she puts a hot iron into a bucket of water while making eye contact with Crow, and it sizzles as it cools down. And she says, "Good morning. What are you looking for today?"
Morning, and I'm looking for you.
"Is that so?" she says, eyeing the plowshare she was working on.
Indeed it is. Miss Joffre, I have to forgive you for being forward. I've only known you a couple days, but I might only have the opportunity to know you for a few more hours. So, I would love very much if you could meet me in the Laughing Demon for a drink this evening.
She is taken aback by this much bluntness after all the tiptoeing that was happening before. And she says, give me a diplomacy roll.
Yee.
Ooh. She goes, just a drink? Sure. Who else is coming?
Well, I had intended it would be only myself, but then again, I had intended it would be only myself here right now, so it's hard to say. But I have to say, I confess up front, I might stand you up, but it would not be intentional. It's simply might make the day easier if I had something to look forward to when I come back.
Sure. No, I'll wait for you at the demon at sunset, and if you don't show up, no big deal. I mean,
I hope you won't take it personally.
No. I mean, it's just a casual thing between friends, right?
Of course. Yes, it would be good to have the opportunity to know you better, and I hope that's an opportunity I get.
Well, since you asked so politely, how could I refuse?
Yeah, and Crow kind of smirks just a little bit. Like, even though this whole exchange is he's not his normal charming self through the city, he does get a little bit of that like smirk back there, and he bows to her and he goes, Emaírel, you have the reason to be here?
I do. Miss Jorfa, I was thinking of maybe installing torch sconce on my shield.
A torch sconce on your shield. Interesting setup. Yeah, should be easy enough. I'm sure I have a sconce lying around somewhere. Gonna tip off the balance of that shield, though. It's a fine shield.
Well, lack of light seems to be a greater problem than lack of balance these days.
Okay, if you want me to do that for you, I can do it. Oh, that's actually a thing. I didn't know that.
It is.
But I think, and she like grabs the shield and eyes it, and kind of closes one eye and looks down the front line of it, and she says, "I was thinking of forging it to the shield, but I think that's just gonna cause it to be kind of unwieldy. And if you're really just all you're looking for is light, I think this would be easier is to get something that just kind of clips onto it, you know, because I prefer loose parts instead of putting things together for a long time.
Well, you're the expert.
And she takes the shield from you and she says, yeah, I'll have it with me tonight at the laughing demon. I think it should be done by now. Shouldn't be too hard.
Well, thank you then.
Okay. Anything else you want to do in town, or are you heading back to the prison?
Yeah, Crow's gonna make a quick stop by the Laughing Demon. We don't have to role play it out, but he's just gonna go up to what's his name, the bartender. What the hell's his name?
Yarrick?
Zolkar.
Yes.
Zolkar, yeah. He's just gonna go up to Zolkar and he's basically gonna buy a drink for Jorfa in advance.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
And that's it.
Yeah, that is it. But one thing happens while you're at the Laughing Demon. Because there's already a card game going on as you enter. There are some elderly folks from town that sit on the outside porch of the Laughing Demon, and they're playing cards. And as you pass them on your way in, and pass them again on your way out, and as you come out, one of them cries out triumphantly, and he lays down his winning hand. And as he does, the 5 cards suddenly burst into flames that flare up to a height of nearly 2 feet and send all the nearby locals staggering to their feet in a momentary panic. And Crow must make a fortitude save, please.
Whoop.
And then a perception check. And as the flare blinds you for a couple of rounds, a couple of seconds, you hear the faint, muffled sound of numerous people screaming below the Laughing Demon, as if there were burning victims in a basement. And you blink away the momentary blindness, and you see that the cards are still on the table, unscourged. Everyone is kind of scratching their heads, looking at each other confused. But nothing, no signs of what everybody just experienced are still visible, except for a faint, lingering smell of smoke in the air.
Crow blinks hard and kind of puts a hand to his eyes for a second as he tries to clear his vision. And he's just breathing hard. And he looks around and he sees Emaírel, did you hear that? See that?
What?
Never mind. We have to get this whole thing over and done with as quickly as we can, or we will end up like Geier sooner or later.
So you return to Lorrimore Place to meet up with Arronax, and then you head out to Harrowstone once more.
Sounds like it.
Okay. And
This, sorry,
Yeah.
Crow's gonna grab Duchess from the stable and bring her with us this time, just in case we need to haul any more unconscious bodies back.
Very well.
Ever the optimist.
Yeah, and Arronax will take an eye to her I still have to replace my research subject. So
Hands off my mule.
How much did you pay for him?
Her.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, well, never mind. I think
Never you mind any of that.
Yeah, I think I will take a look later. Yeah, never mind. Let's go.
Crow kind of keeps Duchess's lead pretty short. Keeps her close at hand as he watches Arronax while they walk.
I mean, come on, when you carry her in the pocket, it will be much more comfortable.
Oh, I'm sure. Very nice, pleasant indeed, right up until she turns to ash in my face.
I'm saying I will fix it eventually. It's certainly an unintended side effect. Yeah, and I suppose at this pace we will go to the Harrowstone.
Okay. Give me a second to take some notes here.
Mm-hmm.
And this time I will remember to drop my torch when combat starts. I keep forgetting that I'm carrying a light.
Okay. Yeah. So you head back to Harrowstone, and as the prison grounds come into view, the silhouette this morning seems even more menacing than it did the last couple of days, knowing what terrors you've encountered in there and what impact they had on your friend Geier. And
Before Crow ties up Duchess at a tree, like a little ways away, not immediately within the grounds of Harrowstone, but like a little ways down the path from it,
okay.
he will reach into a saddlebag and he'll just kind of quickly slip his hand in and grab a small book and a little silver pendant that he has, and he'll slip it on his neck and under his shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You then enter the building the same way you did the last time, and you make your way over to the shaft that allows entrance to the dungeon floor below.
Mm-hmm. So at this point,
Taking
take it in. Yeah, at this point, we have defeated all. I think 3 haunting spirits, right?
Believe so.
And how much more left?
2, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's some more encouraging news. That then would say Dr. Arronax, pulling out a sparking vial from his coat and, well, just downing it as he goes. That would be, he would be drinking his Constitution mutagen, and just as he maintains civilized conversation, his frame once again like visibly bulks up, filling up his coat and shirt, and his skin takes up definitively orange-ish hue. So yes, as I said.
You are an exceptionally weird man, Doctor.
I am a man of science. We are allowed to have our quirks.
Should we consider finishing Obliette before investigating anything else?
But
Was there still something there?
Many doors, if I am not mistaken.
I was under the impression that
yeah, those you can ignore those doors. Those are cell doors, so you would have been able to see through them.
Are they empty?
Yeah, they're empty cells.
Okay, never mind.
Oh, yeah, I'm lucky. My mutagen again lasts twice as long. By the way, this skeleton with a hatchet, Arronax will try to take a look at his weapon in vain hope that it, well, could.
Yeah, his weapon was indeed a quite mundane, in fact, just a regular hand axe.
Yeah, all right. Never mind. It was just a scientific guess.
Right, so we have the Nevermore and something about hell.
Well, neither of those are encouraging, but I suppose.
What was it? Hell's Furnace or something like that?
It was Hell's Basement is where you came
Basement.
from.
Oh, we came from Hell's Basement. So there's the Nevermore, and what's the other one?
Reaper's Hold. The one down there is the Nevermore, and the light of thing. Or what are you
Emaәрel
using?
is carrying a torch.
As
Or
is Crow.
Okay.
I promise I'll
yeah,
drop
so
it this time.
the light of your torches illuminates a door over here and a lowered portcullis all the way at the southern end of this hallway.
Open this door, I suppose, but Crow's gonna step forward and take a look through the portcullis while it's closed.
Okay. And beyond the portcullis, you see several iron doors lining the walls of a partially ruined cell block, similar to the oubliette in the north. The doors themselves hang askew on their hinges, revealing empty cells beyond. Partially burned wooden support timbers still function to the north, while to the south they've collapsed and caused cell walls to crumble as well. You see in the flickering light of your torch, you see some rivulets of water drip down the southwestern wall to a pool of dark water in this ruined portion of the room. Overflow of that filling an oubliette hole in the middle of the room, nearly to the rim. So it's like a dark pool at the center of the room instead of a shaft.
Well, this one looks fun. Do you think it will be susceptible to fire as well?
Well, I suppose it will be only way to know, but hopefully this time we will be able to actually break our holy water upon it. And with this, Dr. Arronax will actually open the door.
Crow's gonna load up with pellets.
Sorry, I didn't catch what Arronax is doing.
He opens the door.
Okay. So you open the door, and beyond you find another guard chamber, similar to the one that you've already encountered. This one also holds a table and some chairs, and a pair of cots, and some device probably to control the portcullis. However, it is quite obvious to you that even though the fire didn't do enough damage to cause a total collapse of this wing, it did obviously burn the winch controls to the portcullis, enough to cause causing the gate to drop. And from the looks of it, it's pretty much stuck.
Can we try to use some skill to disable device?
Do you have knowledge engineering or some applicable craft skill? Even profession? Anything?
I don't actually have knowledge engineering, but I mean, I have disable device, but that's if that doesn't work, then I don't have anything.
I have craft firearms. Actually, that's not even a craft skill. It's just a thing I can do. I don't think it's gonna help.
Nothing.
Okay, then if none of you have any training in that regard, then to your eyes the controls look hopelessly ruined.
Well,
I think we can just give a. Could we just give a tug on the chain?
The chains actually run in the walls, a pretty elaborate construction.
Well, in that case, I have little to offer here. Maybe we should just check out the other wing for now.
Well,
Maybe
yeah.
when... Well, never mind.
Yeah, that sucks. I suppose next time we have a break, I will brush up on my engineering, and we can return to this. But until then, we probably shouldn't waste any more time. Yeah, unfortunately, I suspect that whatever hell this passage refers to, it also wouldn't be suspensible to fire damage.
Okay, so instead you decide to leave that passage be for now and make your way down the last remaining corridor, the Reaper's Hold, until you get to a similar spot where 2 doors this time can be found in opposite of each other in the hallway's walls. The portcullis itself, in this section of the dungeon, is lowered and apparently locked in place.
Crow's gonna try the door to the south.
Okay. It opens easily enough for you to muscle it open, and it reveals another guard room beyond. But this one is slightly different. And it also contains a single large table with 2 chairs and a single sagging cot pushed up against the eastern wall. However, here you also see several battered cabinets lining the northern wall, with a few arrows and bits of chainmail lying scattered on the floor nearby. Yet the most eerie sight are the 3 fractured skulls sitting on the table next to a heavy hammer. It looks as if someone has arranged the fragments of the skulls in some sort of pattern, as if an attempt had been made to construct a 4th skull from the broken fragments of the trio on the table. The leathery body of a long-dead dwarf, his wiry red hair and beard still strangely vibrant even in death, lies slumped on the ground behind the table. Right, so your curiosity already let you move inside. Give me perception checks, everyone. Okay, Doctor and Emaírel. Okay, let's do one thing at a time. So everybody can roll initiative.
Yay!
But only the Doctor and Emaírel really get to act in the surprise round. Because Emaírel and Arronax, you feel a sudden splitting headache. At the same time, you notice the fragments of skull on the table begin to rattle and shake. Crow, you didn't notice that at first? The doctor, your turn. It's a surprise round, so move or standard.
Yeah, at this point he will clench his head in pain and he will back away for a moment out of the room.
That's all?
Yes, for that would be all.
Okay. Then Crow probably notices that the doctor wordlessly steps out of the room, but doesn't really understand why until he does. Because what happens is that from the bones of the dead dwarf on the floor, a spirit rises up, appearing as a sobbing dwarf wielding a ghostly hammer. A ghostly skull, you can give me a heal check, floats in the air nearby, and its cranium is laced with cracks and missing a knife-shaped shard of bone along the side.
Can I give you heal even if I'm not trained in it?
Yes. Okay, and Doctor, you expertly recognize the skull as the skull of a female dwarf. At the same time as the spirit of the dwarf rises, the skulls on the table begin to rearrange and rattle and rise up and reform into 3 solid skulls. And they start screaming. Okay, so let's resolve these. These things one thing at a time. So let's start with the skulls. Like I said, as they form, they start to scream at a bone-chilling sound. And everyone must please make a will save.
Fear effect?
Yes.
Including people out of the room?
Yeah, you still hear them.
So it's an 11 for me.
Okay.
And I'm going to spend a use of Charmed Life to boost it by 4, so up to 15.
Okay.
And that's what you mean when you don't impair your willpower intentionally with your mutagen.
Nice.
Okay. So even though you hear them scream and it probably gives you the creeps, it doesn't have any mechanical influence on you. The heads then start to rise up from the table, but it's a surprise round, so I guess they can't do anything else. Yeah. For now. The haunt disappears and then reappears right next to Crow, and with a where is my macro? With wordlessly swinging his hammer, the haunt attacks Crow. That's a 20 against your touch AC, so that's a hit, and
That's
it
a
causes 6 points of damage. And when it strikes you, it feels like somebody hit your head with the hammer, causing a horrific headache. That's the 6 points of damage. And You're staggered for now. As the hammer hits you, a ghostly fragment of your own skull flies out of your head, and it shoots towards the skull that is hovering next to the dwarf, and the little fragment tries to shift and rotate and flip into a position so that it fits the vaguely sword-shaped gap that is in the that is still in the skull, but it doesn't, so it just disappears.
That's not disturbing.
Emaírel. Emaírel, still a surprise round.
Is trying to figure out what's happening. So he sees that there is a haunt, like a haunt in the form of a dwarf, and there are severed heads. Well,
give me 2 knowledge religion checks. They're separate things. Okay. So yeah, Harrowstone continues to be a puzzling place because the severed heads are clearly some sort of undead creatures. But the dwarf, the way he disappeared and reappeared, and the way he interacts with Crow and this ghostly fragment, extracting the ghostly fragment of his skull and stuff, that's clearly a haunt. So they are probably just here in the same place, but separate entities. And they should be fought separately. You don't know anything about the severed heads, though. But you are sure that the dwarf is a haunt, and as such should be fought like any other haunt. You guess that there, even though they're separate entities, that there is some sort of connection between the haunt and the severed skulls, though.
Okay, so Emaírel
Yes?
Did you say something?
Sam? Sam?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So Emaírel retrieved the wand, tried to use it, and it's locked out for the rest of the day.
Oh no, it's a natural one. Yeah.
That's bad.
Okay, regular round. The haunt, the sobbing dwarf, continues to sob, and he cries out, "Another piece that doesn't fit. I must find it. I will bring you back, my love." Crow.
Yeah, Crow's weirded out by the haunt. He's gonna take a 5-foot step away from it, but something about its sorrowful features and its words kind of resonate in him, and rather than turning his blunderbuss against it, he's just gonna aim at those shrieking skulls and activate Ghost Slayer and shoot it all 3 with his pellets.
Ooh.
And he's going to activate Focused Aim, and he's going to take Deadly Aim as well. That's the first one. I'll let you determine which attack roll goes to which creature.
I'll just go left to right. Okay. And the damage was also rolled separately, or was that...
Yeah, the damage is separate for each one.
Okay. So it's basically like doing 3 different attacks in one action.
Yep.
Okay, so You fire a blast from your scatter weapon, and you catch all three of them in the blast. That shatters two of those skulls immediately.
And he says to the ghost thing, maybe you can find the piece you need amongst those.
Break.
Sorry?
Yeah, I'm back. I accidentally hit my standby button. So you can hear me?
Yeah. Crow just, he said to the haunt, maybe you can find the piece you need amongst those, instead of in my head.
Well, you also blasted the second one, which is also obliterated by it. But the third one somehow managed to stay out of the worst of this. And as they explode into many pieces, the dwarf cries out as if in pain, and you can see the ghostly skull next to him start to crumble and fall apart. And he says, "No, no, my love, all these pieces, all this work." And then it's the doctor's turn.
Yeah, doctor still nursing a headache from activation of the haunt. Will step back in, take assessment of what's happening, and then he will see what Crow did and say, "Oh well, not that I don't sympathize with the plight, but."
You
And he tosses
try to
up.
blow up the head.
Yeah, he blows up the rest of the skulls.
It's a touch. That's a miss. But the
Oops.
splash damage is still gonna apply, which is, what was it? 6.
6, yes.
And the head gets a reflex save.
It's probably tiny with a high reflex.
Fails.
It fails.
So that's 6 points of damage. Let me see if they have any. No, they don't. So that is enough. And the head is reduced to ashes. And the dwarf wails as the ghostly skull hovering next to him continues to crumble. And he goes, "No, I will start it anew. I will put you back together, my love." And he disappears whoosh, and appears right next to Emaírel. And once again, he swings his hammer. But he fails to hit Emaírel. Your turn.
Emaírel. Does not have any potions. He's going to. He knows it's a haunt, but he's going to just try to just touch it, see if it's corporeal. He knows it work, but he's just trying.
It's pretty obvious that he's incorporeal. I mean, he's been moving through things.
Yeah, Emaírel is at a loss at what to do here.
Okay. So Crow.
Crow looks at the dwarf and he calls out, "I don't think there's anything else we can do for this wretched soul. We should get out." And he backs out.
Doctor.
I wonder. Doctor will rub his chin and step forward to the table. Assuming I still have my staff with me, he will try to hit the remaining skulls with his quarterstaff.
Okay. So you smash them further, but it doesn't seem to have any effect on the haunt.
Mm-hmm.
However, he appears right next to you
Well,
and swings his hammer, trying to hit you. And successfully doing so, striking you with a hammer against the temple for 3 points of damage and a splitting headache. And you are staggered from the pain. And again, a piece of your skull floats out like a spirit.
Ghostly?
Yeah, a ghostly fragment flies out of your skull, tries to fit itself into the cranium of the skull next to him, but doesn't fit. And he screams in frustration, "Oh, not again!" Emaírel.
I don't remember. Was the mechanism for the portcullis in this room?
No, I don't think so.
We just saw a weird-looking bookshelf that seemed like it had something going on.
Yeah, there's some cabinets on the wall, but there's no mechanism, no obvious mechanism to control the portcullis.
Yeah, Emaírel is just going to exit the room.
Okay. Crow?
Crow's gonna spend a full round reloading with pellets.
Right.
I don't think it's any use, Doctor. There's no stopping someone like him.
Doctor?
Not without a light source, of course. Says Arronax, running out of the room.
Me and my light source.
Yeah, I really should carry my own torch, I suppose. Oh well, that's the thing. Will it follow us, or?
Yeah, you brace yourselves for the haunt to exit the room, but instead you just hear it yell out once more in frustration, and then silence.
Poor wretched soul. So yeah, the 3 points of damage I deducted from my hit points from my mutagen constitution, so I still have 3 temporary hit points extra.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll try the other door.
Okay. So ignoring the haunt in the room across, you open this door and find just another guard chamber. It's decorated similarly to the others. However, this one has a winch affixed to the western wall that seems to raise and lower the portcullis.
And Emaírel will give it a try.
Okay. So you it takes a full round action, but the mechanism is still mostly intact, and you pull the portcullis up, and then flip the lock so that it stays in position, and the way is clear.
Is there anything else interesting in the winch room?
Nothing obvious. Looks just like all the other guard rooms. And and even a more thorough look in passing confirms that impression.
Okay. Before we continue on, Crow stands in the doorway of that southern room and kind of looks around towards where the dwarf spirit was, and he just kind of says quietly, "Love has made you restless, I understand. May the goddess of love grant you peace in this life, the next life, somewhere along the way."
And as you whisper those words, you know that he will never find peace as long as he's doomed to haunt these halls.
And until we bomb him with holy water on our way back. It's all right, but we need to conserve our ammunition for this time.
Anthony, did you say that Crow closes the door while he's there, or?
I didn't say that. Do I get the sense that I should?
No, it's really just if you want to close it or not.
No, you know what? Crow probably would close the door on the way out. I'm sure that resets the haunt, but he probably, well, I don't know. If he was smart enough to figure out that it would reset the haunt, he probably wouldn't. He's gonna leave it open, I guess.
Okay.
And he's just, yeah. As he follows after Arronax, he's gonna say, "I would prefer it if we could deal with that one properly, if we get the chance."
You cross the threshold into the next room, cross the line of the portcullis, and find that on this side of the portcullis there's a brass nameplate, its face caked with soot that hangs above it, saying the name again, Reaper's Hold. Many of the iron doors along the walls within this cell block hang open, revealing empty cells within.
At this point, Arronax will pull out a vial of holy water and will hold one in hand, just in case.
As you cradle it with one hand, the light of the torches dances along the cell block walls and illuminates the insides of the cells, making shadows move all over the place, causing the hairs at the back of your neck to stand up. You ready yourselves for something to jump out of a cell at any time as you pace the halls, but all of it is just empty and deserted. The only spot that strikes your interest is down here. Whoops. Down here, where a door in the wall stands closed. It's obviously not a cell door.
Can we try to open it then?
Okay.
Yeah.
You open the door and find a large chamber beyond. The light of Emaírel's torch barely illuminates it all the way to the far side. As the light moves in, and I think you would probably move into to see more of it, you see numerous grisly tools of torment decorate the room. From cages to hanging chains along the walls to a stretching rack, a large wooden tank, and a fire pit in the middle of the room. To the east stands a grim iron maiden, the lid closed and presenting a stern decoration of a tormented woman upon its face. The broken, twisted skeleton of a human dressed in a tattered guard's uniform lies upon the stretching rack in the middle of the room. The body is surrounded by several discarded knives, branding irons, and pliers. A large blood-stained wicker basket sits at the head of the rack.
This is way out of my comfort zone. I have vivisected plenty of frogs in my lifetime, but this is one step too forward for me, I suppose. Arronax will clench the vial of holy water just a little bit tighter. Iron Maiden is here, I suppose.
No, here.
Yeah, I can see it. Oh, that's Iron Maiden.
Yes, and that's the rack. That's the fire pit.
Uh-huh. At this point, Arronax's nerves will probably just give out, and he will declare into empty space, "Evil spirit, show yourself!" So we could
You
smite
yell.
Yeah.
You yell that, and Emaírel, as you move around the room, you already rolled a perception check. Okay, I'll just use that one. And you hear a soft creak. And you turn around to see the lid to the Iron Maiden slowly creaking open. Everybody can roll initiative. And actually, Crow and the Doctor can also roll perception checks. Okay. So,
Why is it 0? Oh.
because there's a plus in there. 13.
Well, you can put 10. Yeah.
The Doctor's perception check?
I thought I clicked.
Okay, so neither Doctor nor Crow hear it, and Emaírel is too slow to react to it. Emaírel, make a will save, please. Okay. What? And you hear so you notice the lid through the Iron Maiden creaking open. You turn around, and just for a split second there, you feel like you saw someone in the Iron Maiden, someone that looked almost like Kendra, but just for a second, and the sensation passes quickly enough.
But the door to it is open now?
Yes. Are you saying anything to the others? Does anybody...
Are we still in initiative?
Oh, sorry, no. That's all that happens.
Oh, in that case, Crow's going to continue to wander the room, trying to light it all up with his torch and see everything.
Yeah. Because so far, Crow and Doctor haven't even noticed anything. Well, okay. So Emaírel just lets that
Really?
that weird thing slide.
You know how it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
strange things happen. It's Harrowstone after all.
Well, he did spend like once a full hour without speaking a single word. Weird
That's
things
true.
happen.
That is true.
I mean, to be
Okay.
fair, I think Emerald is largely quiet.
Yeah, and hard to shake. The doctor, the heal check, I assume, means that you're checking out the body on the
Yeah,
stretch rack.
I am the only doctor around here, so...
Mm-hmm. But all you can tell is that the
Yeah, well, yep,
body
he was tortured, yeah.
was definitely tortured.
Yeah.
The body has numerous broken bones. The hands have been severed. You don't even see them. Dislocated hips and shoulders, a shattered jaw, numerous long, thin needles that have been driven into his ears, eye sockets, elbows, hips, and knees.
Poor bastard.
The skeleton itself still wears tatters of a chainmail uniform, but it's entirely ruined.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see any weapons nearby, only the knives that have probably been used to torture him. Inside the skeleton's pelvis, you find a ring of keys,
TMI.
and you shudder at the thought of how they got there. And the jaw, broken as it is, still bites down on a metal disc of some sort.
Well, don't bite me, my friend. But let's take a look at what you have here. Yeah, and Arronax will try to see what he was force-fed, so to speak. Well,
You extract the disc that has been wedged into his jaw, and most of the bone crumbles as you pull it out. Several teeth fall off. The entire jaw has been shattered. And the metal disc turns out to actually be the warden's badge.
mm-hmm. Oh, I don't think his wife would appreciate what happened here. But I suppose...
But I think she would definitely like to have that back.
Yeah. At least it would have some closure on this at this point.
Do you think that an artifact like that might still have some power over the prisoners here, considering that the warden in death was able to keep them in check?
I am not really one to say about this spiritual kind of mumbo jumbo. If my mother was here, she would probably say that this badge is a sign of authority, and if we transfer it to his wife, she would probably have some kind of authority over the prison, but I'm not sure it works like this.
But I guess we can always try.
Yeah. And we
Make sure you grab those. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but we probably should grab those keys too, just in case. Although, Emaírel, you grab them, okay?
You stick your hand into the pelvis.
Okay.
Okay, with a steady hand, you extract the keys. And there actually is several of them, and they're different in size and shape. So they range from door keys to what may be more like keys to a lockbox or something like that. Smaller keys.
Crow is checking out the fire pit here, trying to figure out what it might have been used for.
Okay. It probably so there's still some coal residue at the bottom of it, and given the nature of this place, it was probably used to heat up the branding irons.
Ah, pleasant.
Ugh.
Crow's also gonna just kind of glance around all the walls and the ceiling and even the
Okay.
floor.
Give me a perception check. Or do you want to take 20 even on it, or take 10 walking around?
I'll roll for it. He's not exactly wanting to linger here.
Okay. 21. Well, he doesn't want to linger here, but he does notice something odd about the wall in this part of the room. And as he inspects it closer, he discovers a secret door.
Oh, not what I was afraid of. That's
my
still
God.
disconcerting. A
Hmm.
gentleman, come have a look at this.
You pull on the sconce, and a section on the wall unlocks, and you can push it aside. And beyond, you see a dark passageway made from rough stone walls. Some sort of natural cavern, dripping with moisture. Stagnant pools of water on the uneven floor.
It always undermines some kind of moral character when people have a secret passage to their torture rooms. I mean, if you're gonna have a torture room, why would you even have some? I suppose you are one of the people who would, walk into it with your brow held high, or like, so, like, it's not like you have anything to be ashamed of anymore when you have a torture room.
You've sort of hit the moral low point. I think I understand what you're saying. Before we go in there, maybe I'm just stalling here, but we have a set of keys and we have a locked door on the first floor that we were never able to open. Might it not benefit us to see what was inside before we go plunging into the blackness of the underground, under prison, haunted, flooded cave?
Arronax mentally remembers how suffered he by descending from on the rope, but well, if you insist.
So you backtrack back upstairs?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, Crow's willing to do pretty much anything to avoid going down there right now. So yeah.
Okay. And you mean that locked door, right? The room that was locked?
Yeah, it's like one of the offices or something.
In the auditorium.
Or wasn't there actually like a safe that we couldn't open? Or am I mistaken?
I think so, yeah.
It was in with all like the papers and stuff in the offices.
Yeah, let me check. There were two things. There was one door that you couldn't open, and then there was also the warden's office, exactly, with a safe. Yeah. Okay, so where do you want to go first? Check out the door or the safe?
Well, they're both
Safe.
upstairs, so
Yeah,
Okay.
they're near each other, but
So
Crow
you,
votes
you climb back up and you backtrack towards the warden's office and try out the small key. And indeed, it opens the safe. And Within, you find numerous legal documents, all of them out of date, of course, but also 500 gold pieces, apparently the prison's payroll will roll. And there's a little wooden rack on which sit what must be emergency supplies, because there are a total of 9 potions.
Yeah.
Let me take a look. And at this point, Arronax will, he will take a look and try to identify the potions.
Okay, you use craft alchemy to identify, right?
Yes.
Okay. What's your result when you take 10?
23.
Okay, yeah, then you can identify all of them. There are 4 potions of cure moderate wounds, 3 potions of lesser restoration, and 2 potions of remove disease.
Hell yeah. So we split this money 3 ways or what?
We'll ask Geier when he wakes up. Something tells me that this money will go to Father Grimbar anyhow.
Well, someone do we want to do like what we did for Crimson Throne and have like a general notes thing to keep track of pools of money, or should we just put it in one person's inventory for now?
Well, you already have a party notes thing if you want to use it.
Oh, we do. That's right. We do? Oh, party notes, I see it. I'm just gonna mark it there.
Who takes the potions?
Well, the Arronax is loaded with 12 liters of holy water, so he probably will avoid taking any more at this point.
Emaírel will pick those up.
I feel like Crow would want to have at least one of the moderate wounds on him.
Sure.
Because he has no means of healing himself or others, so.
And, well, so there was a door then.
Yes. So you move all the way to the southeast corner of the ground floor to the room that you haven't been able to enter so far. The only room on this level that you haven't been able to enter yet. You try the keys to the, and one of them, in fact, opens the reinforced metal door that kept you out until not just now. You swing it open and find a small room that is lined by wooden shelves containing a bizarre collection of antique goods. Several of the items contain tiny tags with labels written in a careful script.
I'm not entirely sure what I'm looking at here. mean, I'm not trained in appraise. Does anyone?
As a matter of fact, I am trained in appraise.
+8. Okay. So you go through the various items. Most of it is just junk. A few of them may be of interest, though. There's a set of masterwork thieves' tools.
Ah, this is.
There's a bronze war medallion from the Shining Crusade.
Mm-hmm.
There's an unframed Talden painting of Stavian the First.
Curious.
There's a set of a noblewoman's silver hair clips. A masterwork punching dagger.
Mm-hmm.
A pouch containing a dozen masterwork shurikens. A masterwork silver war razor.
Uh-huh.
And a wand.
Uh-huh. Masterwork shurikens, ordinary shurikens, right?
Masterwork.
Mm-hmm.
Emaәрel will take a look at the wand.
Mm-hmm. Spellcraft?
I think he doesn't need to.
Oh, he does the attunement thing, basically. Yeah. You identify it as a wand of lesser restoration.
Can,
12 charges.
How many you said?
12.
Can Crow attempt to assess the quality of that painting in some way?
That would be a praise, I guess. Or do you have any skill that's relevant?
I have a craft skill in drawing, which
Okay, yeah, sure. Go ahead. Well, it's decent.
is decent. Should we some of these are made of valuable metals at the very least. Perhaps we should gather these up.
Well, these things had laid here for how many years? I think they can wait for us a little more. Even
I
these
suppose,
masterwork shurikens. However, this war razor, Arronax will pick up and check the sharpness. No, maybe we probably could take with us. It might come in useful just in case.
You ought to hold on to it then.
All right.
Simon, I'm just going to put these things in our notes, assuming that we'll be back for them.
Okay. Can you put
So-
S16 somewhere as well, so I know where to look for them?
Sure.
That's masterwork silver war razor, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the list real quick one more time?
Yes. A set of masterwork thieves' tools, a bronze war medallion from the Shining Crusade, an unframed Talden painting of Stavian the First, a set of a noblewoman's silver hair clips, a masterwork punching dagger, a pouch containing a dozen masterwork shurikens, a masterwork silver war razor, and a wand of lesser restoration. 12 charges.
Okay, so sorry, I got the shurikens.
Masterwork silver war razor
And
and a Wand of Lesser Restoration with 12 charges left.
Okay, I'm not gonna mark down those last two because I'm assuming that the Emaírel and Arronax are taking.
Are taking what?
Are you taking the wand?
I guess. Would the professor want it instead?
Well, I'm not sure I can use it actually at this point.
Well, in that case, I'll be carrying it for now at least.
And Arronax is taking the War Razor.
Yes, I'm writing it down right now.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave the rest of it on the list here.
All right. What's next?
One moment. So I'm not proficient with martial weapons. That would be -4, right?
If you're not proficient, yeah, then it's -4.
I'm not sure this chart sheet actually has the click for proficiency. Never mind. No, wait. I added -4 to damage.
An interesting little cache of things.
Yeah, with master.
And you said there were some sort of tags or labels?
Yeah, all the items are labeled, but none of the names ring any bells.
Confiscated objects from the prisoners, maybe, or something.
Yeah, maybe. It's a really weird collection of things to confiscate, though.
Well, there was a razor and a punching dagger.
Yeah, but there's also like a painting and hair clips.
Yeah.
Is there by any chance a piece of skull in there?
No.
Alright.
Oh, we might find that on the way down.
Well, at this point we probably should not wait any longer because even my enhanced mutagen has its runtime.
Right. Let's see. Okay, I guess I'm not hurt that bad. I guess we should just do this.
Before heading back down, Emaírel would suggest maybe passing by Lady Visoriana and showing her the badge.
Not a bad idea.
Well, since we are on the first floor anyway, might as well. But and until then, Arronax will give Crow one of his Cure Light Wounds extract.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll take that. D4 plus, sorry, a D8 plus 1 still?
+3. It is an extract, so it well, yeah.
Awesome.
And you have the ability to share those with your companions?
Yes, I have infusion.
Okay.
That's pretty good, though. He's almost a full. So Crow will take it, drink it back, and thank him. Oh, it's a little minty. Did you add something to it?
Yes, I have added mint.
Crow kind of laughs in spite of himself, in spite of everything that's going on. Says, well, if we all die in here, I will miss you.
Let's hope we will meet in the chambers of harassment with before, and we will have another joke on each other's expense. But yes, at this point we will probably come to the Lady Vissariana.
Okay, so you move. You go back to the workshop where Vissariana's lair is right now, where she's apparently bound to, and she manifests in front of you, and she says, "I can feel it. I know you've put another one of them down, and you faced a fourth one, but you let him be. Why would you do that? They are a great threat to everyone here and in town. You missed an opportunity."
We did?
"But what is that?" she says, and her glowing eyes darting to the one who's carrying the badge. "I sense something that was once my husband's."
Yeah. Well, there is no good way of saying this. But, well, Arronax will step up and notify Lady Vissariana that, well, we have found the remains of the warden down below. And
I don't want to hear it. I know he must have been... His body must have been in a terrible shape, crushed by the deadfall, burned by the fire.
Well, it was in a terrible shape, yet this thing, he will probably ask, Crow or Arronax holds it with him, I suppose. He will offer it to Vissariana. Well, we were able to recover this, at least. It was more or less intact.
"His badge," she says. And she reaches out to it and then remembers that she's incorporeal and can't touch anything. And then she just has her hand hover over it. And then she acts kind of surprised as the badge begins to glow slightly. And she reaches for it, and she grabs it from your hands. And as she does, the badge sort of transforms from matter into spiritual stuff. And she holds a ghostly image of the badge in her hands, seemingly surprised herself, and she says, "This was my husband's badge of office. This was what made him the warden of this place, what gave him power over these prisoners. I still only understand half of my purpose, but I know that this is now passed on to me." "I think you did right."
I hope this symbol of office can grant you some power over the inmates still kept here, and perhaps also bring you some comfort. Have a piece of your husband.
I feel that it is restoring some of my essence that is still being siphoned away from me as we speak. But I'm afraid that I cannot put these spirits to a final rest, even with this badge, unless whatever is tugging at my soul is put down first.
Well, in this case, we probably should get back to it.
Lady, you said that we passed one of the 5 by and left him unharmed. And now that you mention it, the stories of the hammer murderer, Cudgel, I think his name was. They're coming back to me now. We did indeed encounter him, and
Oh, that one. I mean,
yes,
he hit me in the head, so it must be, well, affected my recall.
Do you know any way that we might be able to combat him aside from sheer blunt force of trying to bless his remains with holy water? He seems to be seeking the last piece of a skull fragment, and I believe that's what he was doing in life as well.
The poor man. I remember my husband telling me about him. A vicious killer. Brutal, but so tragic. He spent most of his life looking for that one piece, thinking that it would bring his love that he's in a burst of rage. I don't think he will find it in death, what he has never managed to find in life. I think the only way to help him is to put him to a final rest.
I wonder, though, says Arronax. Oh, all right. Can well, bear with me for a moment here. Well, there's a lot of skulls around in the Harrowstone right now, right?
Skulls.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I suppose we Arronax can recall the general shape of the hole that was in the ghostly skull, right?
It is a very complex shape, but
I mean, would it be possible to, file a little bit of one of the skulls to fit it?
well, if you could get a hold of the actual skull that it's supposed to fit in, but for working from memory, that's a virtually impossible task.
I see. And we blown those skulls up. Oh well.
Holy water it shall be then.
It never failed us before, so might.
Hurry, she says. Every day that passes brings us closer to the end. And she fades away.
So I suppose we have to deal with the angry hammer killer now.
Onyx Cudgel, a fitting name. Little on the nose. I think we're going back down there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're heading back down, and then where? Back to the secret passage?
Well, I mean, there was unfinished business, I guess, so.
Yeah, we should finish with the haunt.
Yeah.
Okay. So you make your way back to the warden's guard room. And
Are the skulls still there when we
step inside? The skulls are still as blasted and shattered as they were when you left.
Okay, in that case, Crow says, "I'll let you guys do your thing."
Okay, so you move out of the room. All right, and Emaírel and Arronax, you're inside the room.
Yes, we are inside.
Okay, so give me perception checks. Okay. As you walk into the room, you carefully listen for any telltale signs of the Mosswater Marauder manifesting once more. And Arronax, you get distracted by something somehow, but Emaírel, you hear the many pieces on the table rattle once more. And we can roll initiative, everyone. And Emaírel will be able to act in the surprise round. Okay, so Emaírel, you actually get to act before the haunt manifests fully.
And Emaírel, I believe last time we found out that pouring out a potion works too.
It was a desperate
A
situation
cure,
there.
yeah. Would the cure potion work?
Only one way to find out.
Yeah. Well, then he'll retrieve one of the newly acquired potions and use it as holy water, I guess.
Okay, so where do you pour it or throw it?
Where the haunt is manifesting.
Well, so far all you can tell is that the shards on the table are rustling and rattling. That's all you can see or notice.
Ah. Well, on the shards then.
Okay, so you basically just pour the potion over the shattered skulls, and nothing happens. Doctor didn't hear it, but you see Emaírel springing into action.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that should be enough to trigger you as well. So you can do whatever you want in the surprise round.
Well, as a surprise round, I can only pull out one vial of holy water and prepare to throw it at any moment.
Okay. Crow, you see the Doctor and Emaírel start to act quickly.
Crow is going to clasp at the pendant that he's got under his shirt and just quietly mumble to himself.
Okay. And then the haunt manifests right next to Emaírel. From the body of the dwarf, the spirit rises once more and swings his hammer, hitting Emaírel square in the head for 6 points of damage, staggering him. Once again, a tiny little fragment of his skull flies out, tries to fit into the ghostly skull, fails to do so, and disappears. Emaírel, you're staggered. You can give me a will save. Okay, you recover from the staggered effect at the beginning of your turn. So you can act normally.
Is the haunt still visible now, or has it?
Yeah.
moved
Yeah.
out? Well, in that case, it gets a potion too.
So you finger out another potion and you throw it its way.
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to roll? All right, and those 8 points of damage are enough to make the dwarf sob once more, and with heartbreaking cry that echoes for a little bit, even after the ghostly apparition is gone. He disappears.
Mm-hmm. Well then, let's hope this will be enough.
Crow will step into the room. And he'll nod towards Emaírel. And they'll say, may Shaylin soothe his aching heart and perhaps save his soul if possible.
Well, that would depend on how many people he killed, I suppose.
I suppose his actions may be irredeemable, but...
Okay. And at that point, we're gonna call it a session.
Alright.